Savez-vous quelle langue a le plus de locuteurs natifs? Tashi puton hua. Y el número dos es el español. English has fewer native speakers than either Mandarin or Spanish, so why is it seen as the de facto world language? Maybe it's Hollywood movies. Or maybe it's colonialism. But one thing we know for sure is that despite having fewer native speakers, it's compulsory for students to learn English in most countries. So, English has almost 1 billion non-native speakers, making it easily the world's most widely understood language. And as the world and business become increasingly more global, being able to understand everybody else without the barrier of translation matters. In fact, a World Bank study published in Forbes in 2010 found that people who can speak English earn up to 34% more than people who don't. The article was titled, "It Pays to Speak English." And that's certainly true at Crossover, where people can earn 2 or 3 times more than local jobs. But some level of English is required for every role. Now, it won't be that way forever. Some of the really cool things we're seeing in the world of AI are happening in this space. It's already possible to hold your phone up to a sign written in another language and see a real-time translation through augmented reality. It won't be long before the software that powers our emails, chats, and conversations will be smart enough to translate in real time too. Technology will make the art of translating one language into another so seamless. The thought of doing it manually will seem quaint. We'll be able to communicate perfectly with anyone in the world without even knowing if we have a language in common. Here at Crossover, we can't wait for that day to come. But until then, our model does need everyone to share a common language, and English makes the most sense. If you're thinking of applying for a job, though, don't let the English test put you off. Different roles require different levels. Many don't need you to be a fluent speaker just to prove you can do the job. So it pays to give the test a shot and see how you get on. If you don't meet the grade yet, you can spend time brushing up and then take it again in 6 months. If you do, there's no telling how many doors it'll open. Some of the really cool things we're seeing in the world of AI are happening in this space.
So I actually filmed that video over 2 years ago. In fact, it is part of the video series that led to the creation of Out of Office. We are now up to episode 64 of the web series that is by remote workers for remote workers. And I wanted to take this moment to look back at how far we've come. Now, the stats that I quoted in there are still pretty much accurate, but in case you've been living under a rock for the past couple weeks, you've definitely by now heard about ChatGPT 4.0, which introduces real-time audio and language processing, which opens up some really cool opportunities in this exact space. Check out this use case video.
Hey ChatGPT, I'm here with my coworker today. We'd like you to act as our translator for us. So every time I say something in English, can you repeat it back in Spanish? And every time he says something in Spanish, can you repeat it back in English?
Sure, I can do that. Let's get this translation train rolling.
Hey, how's it been going? Have you been up to anything interesting recently?
Hola, ¿cómo te ha ido? ¿Has hecho algo interesante últimamente?
Hola, bien. Sí, un poco ocupado aquí preparando un evento para la semana que viene.
Hey, I've been good. Just a bit busy here preparing for an event next week.
Am I the only one that noticed that even in Spanish she sounds like Scarlett Johansson? Setting aside the OpenAI lawsuit that's impending right now, the reality is that what we see in that video is just the tip of the iceberg. In many ways, the hard part is already done. The infrastructure to power real-time translation, even for audio, has now been created. And so the rest of it is now a hop, skip, and a jump away. Definitely less than 2 years if you want to take another prophecy from me. I genuinely believe we are only a couple of iterative cycles away from having real-time translation enabled on all of the software that remote workers use to interact every day. Be that emails or instant messages, still Jira tickets, or even a Zoom call. The technology already exists. We just saw it in that use case video from OpenAI. And actually the market was so spooked by that announcement that it immediately knocked $340 billion off the value of Duolingo stock, which is kind of weird when you consider the fact that they're not competing products. But, you know, people tend not to read past the headline. The fact is, real-time translation is already here. The tools that power it just got supercharged with the release of GPT 4.0. And all of this is good news for remote workers, especially remote workers who don't speak English as their first language. So I believe we are at least 75% of the way to solving this than we were when I filmed it. And I'm just excited to see what's going to happen next. I'm Andrew Allen, and the future of work is out of office.